Hey, we're the Fords, and this is By Grace We Live. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for coming back to hang out with us for another episode. Before we jump into today's topic, Ryan, how are you doing?
Just great.
That sounds super sarcastic.
No, I'm doing good. It's the week flew by though, which means the weekend flew by. So
Yeah.
that was a little unfortunate.
You have like the pre-Monday blues.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like you actually do have those every week. Like, I can sort of tell
Yeah.
a change in your demeanor at like a Sunday night rolls around. It's like, wah, wah, wah. Back to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it is what it is.
Well, how was your week? I mean, you said it went by fast.
Yeah. It was a good week. Not too crazy. We didn't have a lot going on, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Especially this weekend.
It was pretty
We had a
low-key.
lot of free time, so
We caught up on some Downton Abbey.
of course.
Which, honestly, we won't give any spoilies away. I don't think we've talked about our obsession with Downton yet.
No. We're only 4 episodes into this podcast.
That's
so.
true. So, okay, buckle in, people. We've started watching Downton Abbey, and for those of you who may not know what it is a period piece based in England in the early 1900s about a wealthy family who basically owns a village. And essentially, like, the beginning of the story is kind of the family has 3 daughters, so none of them can inherit they're not heirs. Like, legally by law, they're not allowed to be heirs and inherit the fortune and all that stuff. So the story starts off with, like, who is going to be the heir then, and then kind of figuring out if the oldest daughter is going to marry that person or she's going to marry someone else or whatever. Well, we have friends and family who really love the show.
Yeah.
And it took us years to give it a try. And at first I thought I wasn't going to like it. Like, I just thought it wouldn't keep my attention. And we actually watched the first episode once.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And you fell asleep.
And I fell asleep, which is not a surprise.
Yeah.
But we are hooked. I mean, I don't know what it is about it. Like, you really start to develop, the characters develop, a lot of them are very endearing, and I don't know, you like are rooting for them. Certain characters you're not rooting for.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's
really
been a lot
draws
of,
you in.
yeah, it does. But there's been a lot of tragedy
Yes.
recently, and so it's sometimes
It is
I
a
just
drama.
Like, yeah, I don't want to watch it because I'm like, what else could this family possibly go through? I can't put up with it. Like, I can't do it. But we got to catch up on that, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, my week was good too. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
We did have a very like chill week. Miles and I were able to go to the splash pad that's nearby our house one day, which was it was fun to get out of the house and do something different during the day, but like, he's still a little too young to truly enjoy it. He was kind of afraid of the water a little bit, like going in his face. He just enjoyed the snacks that I brought and people watching. He really loved watching the other kids. But then we ended up playing on the playground, and that was fun too. So, and then I got to go. So we live in Ohio. Spoiler alert. Most of you know that, because if you're listening, you're probably like friends and family at this point. But we live in Ohio, and I was able to go to the West Side Market in Cleveland with my sister-in-laws this weekend, and that was a lot of fun. Although I got hustled by a vendor. Ryan doesn't think I got hustled. He just thinks I didn't know what I was doing, which there might be some truth to that. Let's just say I paid $20 for like 9 pieces of fruit, and they were exotic fruit nonetheless, like passion fruit and figs, and just not stuff you normally have here. But when I got home, they tasted like poo-poo, and I'm very, very upset about that. So anyway, but other than that, it was a lot of fun spending time with my sisters. So, let's jump into our segment, Book Club.
Book club.
Book club. I'm not going to do my song again because apparently it wasn't a song, I guess. More like a chant. That didn't go over well.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so last week you were reading Adorning the Dark, right? Yes.
Yep.
Did you finish that?
I did finish it today, actually. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was a memoir of sorts about the author. He's a musician. That's like his main thing. Andrew Peterson, and he just kind of talked about that calling and creativity and creating and making, and his community that he kind of built around all that, and just he had little anecdotes from his life about different various times of trying to learn how to create well and things like that. But it was good. I enjoyed it. He was a pretty good writer. And
what'd you rate it on Goodreads?
4 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple times where I felt as though it went just a little like down a rabbit hole, maybe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It was really good, and I recommend it for anyone interested in the creative, like that kind of like thoughts on creating and things like that. Even if you're not a songwriter, there's still like interesting takeaways and things that he gave. But yeah, 4 out of 5 is what I gave it. And yeah.
Have you moved on to any other books?
Yeah, I'm currently reading Everything Sad is Untrue, which I just started, so I'm not very far. But
now this is like a true story, right?
Well,
or
kind
based
of.
Off of...
It says it's a true story, but I don't know if that's a little. I mean, there is truth to it, and there's true aspects to it. But I think there's a little bit of maybe like family legend or myth inside of it as well. I don't know. I'm only a few chapters in, but just reading the description of it. But it's essentially this like refugee. He's Persian. His family's Persian, and he moved to Oklahoma with his mom, and I think he has a sibling. I don't remember. I guess I'm not very far. He hasn't mentioned a sibling, but I'm trying to think from the.
You just came up with one.
No, actually, I think he did have a sibling. I don't remember. But anyways, now he's like growing up in Oklahoma, and it centers around him as a 12-year-old, I think, in his school. That's kind of where it like opens up. And he's kind of talking about how like no one ever believed him right now, and like his stories and things he would talk about.
When he was younger, like people wouldn't believe him?
Yeah, like his classmates and everything, because he was so different from everyone else. He's like in what seems to be, a more rural probably area in Oklahoma. And, he's this like immigrant refugee. And so it centers around that. It's supposed to be funny. I've heard really good things, and I keep seeing it everywhere, so that's why I picked it up. On a podcast I listened to, somebody mentioned it and said it was like a must read. It was like their favorite book they've read this year or something like that. And then I've seen some people post about it on Instagram, and it's got like over 4-star review on right now on average on Goodreads. So I just heard good things, and it's supposedly a pretty quick read too, which I always appreciate. But I think it's geared toward a younger audience.
Yeah, that naturally kind of makes it easier to read too.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So just started that, so I can't really speak to how well it's going. I know. I feel like last time I had just started reading Adorning the Dark.
Yep. And
now
I was the same with like all the other books I read.
Yeah. Well, I could, once I'm done with it, then I can say more, I suppose.
Yeah.
but that's what I'm reading now. So
Nice.
what are you reading?
So I finished Happy People Are Annoying as well, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I mean, I liked it, but there wasn't like, I don't know why I didn't give it a 5. It wasn't like I gave it a 5 because of a specific reason. Some of it is like...
Didn't hit you as hard as some other memoirs you've read or autobiographies?
No. I actually really did appreciate like a lot of his thoughts and like his self-awareness and his authenticity. But he did make fun of himself too much, I felt like, which I think some people tend to naturally do that when they're comedians, because it's like, what is it?
Self-deprecation.
I almost self-defecating.
That's
something totally different.
Yeah.
Which
everyone self-defecates.
You could make jokes about that too, but self-deprecation. Yeah, I felt like he did that a lot, and I don't know. There's just like, I'm a 9 on the Enneagram, which Ryan doesn't like. Ryan doesn't love the Enneagram, which is fine, and he doesn't have to. But I identify as a 9, so like I felt like turmoil inside of me because he was like making fun of himself a lot, and I just didn't. I'm like, don't do that to yourself. But anyway, so it was good. But I just started Dream Big by Bob Goff. I guess I should. What is this part called? Subtitle?
It's probably more like a tagline. That's a little long to be a subtitle, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, either one.
The subtitle is Know What You Want, Why You Want It, and What You're Going to Do About It. And I'm only 7 chapters in. But if you've ever read a Bob Goff book, the chapters are fairly short. I feel like he has like... I've only read a few of his books, but I feel like he has kind of anecdotes or like stories that go along with his point, and then he drives it home, and then he moves on to the next chapter. But so far there's been a lot of just things that he's mentioned or questions that he's asked that have really stood out to me, that I have a running Google Doc on my phone already of like just quotes that hit me in the feels. And it's just kind of funny because I picked this up last week because this theme of passion and not squelching your passion and not letting insecurity and fear like deter you from like your calling or what you're made to do keeps coming up in my life. And I've felt very like vulnerable and emotional about it. And so I was like, okay, maybe the Lord's trying to tell me something. And I do think that is the case. And it could probably be a podcast episode down the road, but that's like like episode 15 podcast, it's too vulnerable for right now. You guys don't know me. I don't know you that well enough, I'm just kidding. But for real, I feel like I know you want to read this book too, so I'm really excited.
I actually bought it.
Yeah, you bought it for yourself.
I bought it for myself like a month or two ago.
It's been sitting on the bookshelf, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to read it. So I'm excited for you to read it, and then for us to kind of compare like notes, if you will. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Cool.
I'm still reading the other 2 books that I'm doing for book studies. Yeah. They're going well.
I don't know how you read multiple books at the same time.
Well, so the Power of a Praying Parent, that's very short too. Like each chapter is like 3 or 4 pages, and mostly is just like, this is a topic you can pray about for your child. Here's some scripture to back it up. Here is like a prompt, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's not really like a...
When you're reading that like 1 chapter a week or something.
Yeah. I'm doing 2 chapters a week.
Oh, okay. But I guess that makes it a little more manageable. Well, and I did that when we had our little book thing. Yeah. So... And
then the other book, we're not like the study I'm doing. We meet every other week, and we're doing 3 chapters in between those 2 weeks. But I have learned about myself, I can't read. Like I have to save that for like a couple days before we meet, or I'm going to forget everything I thought was important or that like I really like resonated with me. So I actually haven't read past the first 3 chapters yet. But I will. I'll read them. I promise. Everyone out there who might be in the book study. But anyway, so yeah. That's all.
Yep.
Book club closed.
Done with that.
So for this week, we are going to be talking about the idea of finding things that give you life or like bring you joy,
Mm-hmm.
or just kind of discussing like what brings us joy and what gives us life. And there's a little bit of like kind of a backstory to why this is the topic for today. I think I just said I had a good week. You had a good week. There was nothing like bad that happened this week. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I had a particularly hard day with Miles, or the week was so busy that I felt like I was going and didn't stop. Like, we had a really good week overall, but I still got to the end of the week feeling kind of funky, and I really didn't understand why. I was feeling a little annoyed and irritable, and I just couldn't quite put my finger on it. But I'm trying to be like more self-aware and reflecting of like, okay, like what could be impacting this? And I felt like while we still had like a really good week, I didn't do all the things that typically are life-giving to me, that I should do, like to be healthy and to be like the best version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really bad about that, actually. Like, well, resting, one, but two, like even just having something that brings me joy, or like hobbies, like outside of being a mom, being a wife. You tell me all the time, like, you really need to find a hobby. And I'm like, I don't have time or whatever, which is actually really foolish and it's not healthy. But so we thought it'd be like, I don't know, good idea to kind of go back and forth talking about this with each other and sharing with you guys, and maybe encouraging you to find those things if you're kind of feeling like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to actually send it over to you, and you can kind of start us off.
All right.
Talking about what brings you joy, because it's really easy for you to find things that are life-giving and that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it seems it's a little easier for me than it is for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the first thing that I will say is it's something I just started doing yesterday this year, actually, because I haven't done it all year yet. But it's reading outside on the deck.
Yeah.
And then I did it today as well. And I did it a lot today, actually.
Yeah, like, most of the day, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Pretty much for Miles' entire nap. And then when you guys went on a walk. Mm-hmm. And then I did it yesterday. I forgot how much I liked it, and I haven't done it really yet this year. And not just reading, but just sitting out there and being, outside on the deck. And see, I don't mind winter. I love winter. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't like it because they're stuck inside, but I like it. And I like I don't mind being stuck inside and the coziness of it. Mm-hmm. And so it's not always my initial thought isn't to like, oh, I should go outside and just,
get some
sit
fresh
out
air.
there and hang out. I like it. I just don't typically think about it. So I finally did it this weekend though. So It was nice. So I'll be doing that more, I'm sure.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should get a hammock. Like, I mean, we don't have trees in our backyard that we could attach a hammock to, but you can get those kind that have like their own stand.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like our chairs on the deck aren't super comfortable.
Oh.
So like I sat out there last weekend and it was really lovely, but my butt started hurting.
You'd have rather been in a hammock.
I would have. I would have rather had like a little pillow and swinging in the hammock. That would have been so enjoyable.
You just want to
be
able to nap outside. It's just any way you can nap. It doesn't matter. That's why you can't nap in those chairs. So that's why.
That is true. You can't. Oh, they're plastic Adirondack chairs.
Yeah,
so
I don't think they're that bad.
Well, but, I don't know. They're just
maybe after a while.
Yeah.
But
sitting and
can't nap in them.
My butt hurt.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
Putting the hammock on the list. Things to get.
Okay. But yeah, I just forgot how much I like it just sitting outside, and it's a lot harder to get distracted, and and just the way our deck's set up too, because we got that one bush on the one side,
gives you some privacy,
and then our backyard at the very back, it just is a bunch of tall trees, so those like cover up or kind of make a wall back there, so it kind of seems like you're in your own little space.
Yeah.
True. And so that's nice. But yeah, that's something that brings me life.
Do you feel super cheesy saying that?
Kind of.
Yeah. I could tell. You're like, brings me life.
And I mean, reading in general, I think is something.
You like getting lost in like a good book.
Yeah. I can tell when I haven't read in a long time, or I'm not like, I'm not like habitually reading as much, that it's just like, I don't know, weird because I like it. And so it gets funky when I'm not. And then I guess another thing that brings me life, I don't think I'm going to be able to say it straight.
I know, it's okay.
Anytime.
For all of you listening, I'm the one that used that term, and I'm making Ryan use it.
Yeah.
So he didn't come up with it.
Yeah.
He feels, weird.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
This has actually been something I've been doing for a few years now, but I can tell when there's weeks that I don't do it as much or I miss out on it. It's something that I do really miss, and that's, I don't want to use the word journaling because I feel like that's too strong of a word, but like writing in a journal-ish thing.
Okay. Just say journaling for Pete's sake.
But to me, journaling is like you're going over your day and all these experiences and things like that. That's not really what I'm doing.
No, I mean, I don't think it has to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually not even a full page. Yeah. It's just like might be half a page, but it's something I try to do every day. And usually it goes along with like, reading the Bible or praying, spending time with God, that kind of thing. I try to do it on one of my breaks at work, so that way it's like I always have a time set aside.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And I have my own office, so it's like I'm in a room by myself, so it's easy to like, not be distracted and things like that by other people or anything. But I just found that like writing things down really helps make things more real. I think it's not just a thought in my head. Like if I'm praying or reading the Bible or whatever, or just writing down my thoughts or whatever it may be that day, it's just very, I don't know, almost freeing to an extent but it's also really nice to be able to look back. One thing I want to do, and I think I can't remember who, it might have been NT Wright on his podcast, he was talking about this, and I think he may have been specifically talking about prayers. I actually can't remember now, but he would at the end of the week go back and look at everything he wrote down throughout that week and just reflect on it, pray about anything that was necessary, whatever. And that's something I want to do more of.
Yeah.
I don't do that as consistently or as much or have like any I guess consistent day. It might be like, oh, this one day I'm just flipping through and rereading things, but it's nice to be able to see things that you've thought about written down. It helps to not forget things.
I think too,
prayers, forget
prayers would be cool.
Revelations, forget whatever it may be.
Yeah. It'd be cool too if you would went back and you even journaled how those prayers were answered or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I know I pray and sometimes I feel like God doesn't answer prayers, but then if I had written down specific prayers and then went back and reflected, I could see oh no, he did answer this, or whatever.
Yeah, I think it helps. Yeah, in that regard, it helps just set, well, it's almost kind of like creating an altar, I guess, in the Old Testament, whenever something, God would speak or do something, they would make an altar, or, something to mark that moment.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that too, in a way. So it's when you have a prayer or something to write it down, or just something that stood out to you while you were reading, or whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like literally a sentence. Sometimes I'm just copying down verses I read, and that's all it is. So it's not like, that's why I was hesitant to say journaling, because it's not always a strict thing.
It's okay.
But I do find that weeks that I don't do that as consistently are a little like weird, like something's missing. It feels like something's missing.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, going into the next week and trying to reflect on the previous week or previous days or anything, or just trying to remember, like, as the weeks go on, what has been going on this past month with me. It's like, when I have big chunks of time missing from writing it, sometimes I can feel like, I'm just like drifting through life without paying attention to anything. So, it helps me focus, helps me stay grounded, I think. And I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, I do. Every day at work. Well, I do it at work, so you never really see me.
Just as I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is at work, so I don't see it.
I just find, for me, it helps to like refocus myself on what matters in the midst of work, where I can get really distracted or worn down or whatever it may be. It's a nice like breath of fresh air, and some days I don't feel like doing it, and I don't. But then on the days I don't feel like doing it and I do end up doing it, it's like it's amazing how it can turn around a day.
You needed it, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's nice. And I don't wake up early enough. I would love to be one of those morning people who do it in the morning. But
I can attest, you're not.
I barely wake up with enough time to get to work on time. And so once, I don't know that I'll ever be able to do that.
Well, I think that's okay too. Like, yourself. There's no reason for you to then like force yourself to do something, because then you're not gonna do it, or you're not gonna enjoy it,
or I'm just gonna beat myself up for not doing it.
Yeah, so it's fine. You're just finding the time in your day that makes sense for you.
So that one is that, and then I got one more, and this will sound like a cop out, but it's not. But it's this podcast. This brings me joy in life and all those things. I know, isn't that cheesy? But I felt like, as I was thinking about what we were talking about, I was like, I just thought, especially given what we talked about in our first episode about we wanted to do this, why we wanted to do it, just to have something fun to do, and together, and it is something that I look forward to, and am excited to do each week. Since we've been doing it, and so far I'm not sick of you. So
that's good. I'm glad that the 4 weeks we've done the podcast has reassured you. You? You're not sick of me after 6 years of marriage.
I'm just lovely. Just kidding.
But are you?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're not kidding. Like, I hope you're not sick of me.
No, I meant, yes, that's what I mean.
I'm teasing you.
I'm not sick of you yet.
That sounds really reassuring. Anyway.
So what brings you life? Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, first thing, I love people, and I love being around people. And I think I may have shared this at some point already, but like, being at home all day, I would not trade the fact that I get to see Home with Miles for anything in the world. I know how, like, what a privilege it is. I know that not everybody gets that opportunity, and I don't take it for granted. But as an extrovert, it's really hard sometimes. And like this coming week, I actually know it'll be a good week for me, because I have like 3 things on my calendar already where it's not just me and Miles during the day. Like, I will be seeing other people who I love. And I mean, I love you, obviously. Like, that goes without saying. I'm saying, like, outside of our home. Yeah. Having like friendships and relationships, people I can connect with during the week, it's hard when I don't have that, and I didn't have that this week. And I don't mean like I Marco Polo friends throughout the day, but I'm talking like face to face, real,
interactions,
like quality time. Yeah, I did have that yesterday, like with my sister-in-laws, but like throughout the whole like Monday through Friday, I didn't. And again, like it wasn't a bad week; it was a great week. But I just felt funky because I was like, man, I am craving that. And actually, like, it brought me back to the winter time. Winter was really hard for me this year because of that. Like, it's just, you're stuck inside. A lot of my friends work, so, which is great for them. But, like, I can't just, like, pop over and be like, want to hang out for a little while with Miles? Like, and there's just really nothing to do in the wintertime where we can even like get outside of the house,
especially because he doesn't like, he can't do any of the winter activities.
Yes, like we went to the library each week. That was like our outing, and I was like, oh, it's library story time Wednesday. And so anyway, it was hard in the winter, and I just felt like that this week, like, and part of it could be my fault. It's not like I reached out to someone. But now I know I need to do a better job of that. Like if I'm looking at our calendar and seeing like, oh, it's just like another like normal week. We don't have anything on the calendar during the days. Maybe reach out to a friend and, hey, do you want to come with me to the splash pad with Miles or something? Or do you want to go for a walk or, whatever. But along with that, I love opening our home to people and like hosting and cooking for people, and we haven't done that in a while. Like I don't remember the last time we had people over. Well, I do. It was a month ago. So like a month, that's a long time, and it is something that really fills me up. And again, like it's just life happens and we get busy and things are going on. Our calendar is full, but that specifically like we haven't done for a while. So I would like to like just be better about being intentional with that. Now this is actually pretty crazy that it's about to come out of my mouth. But so I've never been the type of person to work out very much, like I didn't grow up like in the gym and wanting to like stay fit or anything like that. Like 1 year you and I tried to train for I actually forced you to train for a 5K with me.
That was your idea.
Because I thought like, oh, if I have an end goal, I'll enjoy like running. I did not. We did do the 5K. Yep. You probably could have ran the whole thing straight through. I was like dying. I was like, this is awful. Why does anyone do this to themselves? We finished it, but I literally said, I just don't like running, and that's okay. So, and then like the year before I got pregnant with Miles, I started going to like a fitness studio, and I was going pretty regularly. And that was like the first time in my whole life I exercised on a consistent basis, like 3-ish times a week. But then COVID happened, it shut down. I was pregnant. So like the last thing I really wanted to do was go and exercise. And it took me a really long time to get back to a place where I was actually doing something like, some sort of activity on a consistent basis. But for like the last 6 weeks, I have been, other than walking. Every day I walk the dogs and Miles. So that's like my cardio, whatever. It's super lame, but that's my cardio, like a grandma. But I have like usually Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning, I'll work out with Miles just playing in the room with me. And I have not done that in the last couple weeks. Mostly because of like I've had to do work during those hours. But I think that it has affected me. Like I actually think I miss it. I feel so much better when I do that. One, because I'm like trying to be healthier, but two, like it actually is fun. Like it makes me feel good, So I'm shocked that I'm even saying that, because I'm the type of person that's like, oh, working out, like, why? Who does that? I actually made the joke today. Someone we know tore their ACL playing soccer, and I was like, that's why we don't play sports in our house, which we're not opposed to sports, but like you and I just don't care that much, you know? Anyway, so yeah, that is something that I realized, like, I actually really do enjoy that, and because I haven't been doing it, it has affected me, and it is life-giving. I don't even know who I am anymore.
Man.
Saying that. But lastly, now this is actually what I thought you were going to say when you said it's going to sound like a cop-out, but it's quiet time with the Lord and like personal like worship with him. I know every time I sit down and like am still before him, it's not like this mind-blowing, earth-shattering thing.
Yeah.
But when it is something that is like consistent in my life, I know that one, I feel more joy like throughout the day, and like we were created for connection with him. So if we're not taking the time to truly have that connection with him, then we're going to feel off. Like we're going to feel funky.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't been doing that. Like I'm just being honest. I will try during the day to like read my Bible with Miles awake, and it's hard. Like I feel distracted because he's 1.5 years and running around and bumping into things and falling and wanting to play and whatever. And like I don't like waking up early either. That's probably one of our biggest fights because my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and I don't wake up till 5:45.
And the alarm goes off every 10 minutes until...
I know. I need... Cause like there's
Actually, you've been really good about it lately.
Well, there's a huge part of me that wants to get up at 5 a.m. Like, so I work in the mornings, like early anyway. Like I'm already up.
Yeah.
So for me to get up to have that quiet time, I feel like it's extra early. And every part of me wants to desire that, but I hate it so much. Like I hate, like my alarm goes off at 5 and I'm like, why did I do this
Does
to
it
myself?
still go off at 5?
Yeah.
Oh.
On vibrate,
I don't think I wake up anymore.
No, I changed it to vibrate.
Okay.
So you don't hear it.
Good.
But I do. Yeah, I was just going to let you think I've been doing better. But no.
This whole time.
No, it still goes off. I don't get up till 5:45. But like there's a part of me that really wants to do that because I know the value of having that quiet time. The flip side of that is I could do it late at night, but then sometimes it makes me too
asleep.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
That or it makes me like too awake and then I can't fall asleep. You know what I mean? Like my mind's going or I'm like on this high or something and like then I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to bed. So I really do need to find the like you
right
you have
time.
that break in your day.
Yeah, it's easy for me because I literally have built-in breaks in my day.
I need to find what that looks like for me, because I do feel like I desire that like quality alone time with the Lord, and even just like time to worship Him. That's not like want to doing dishes or whatever. Which doing it when you're doing everyday tasks doesn't mean it's less meaningful.
Right.
But there's just something different when you're not distracted by anything else. And thinking about that actually led me to a verse in the Psalms. It was Psalm 16:11, and it says, "You will show me the way of life, granting me the joy of your presence and the pleasures of living with you forever." And I think I'm just really craving like the joy of being in His presence.
Yeah.
So, and not to say that means like everything's perfect and like, well, there's no problems on those weeks that I do that.
Yeah.
But I do think I do feel better, and I'm just, I was just in such a funk. And it like, this is so silly, but I notice it because like when I'm on a walk with the dogs, I actually remember the day, Monday, I was on a walk with Ace. He wasn't even being like bad. He was just being a dog. And I was like, Ace, stop. Like I was getting so annoyed with him. And then I literally thought like, what the heck is wrong with me?
Poor Ace.
I know.
He's like the Edith of our family now.
Yeah, that's a Downton Abbey reference for anyone who likes the show. But no, he is not the Edith.
No.
He's not. But now I feel bad. I'm a terrible dog mom. But it's just like the irritability was coming out of me. And I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from. And it was from the fact that I wasn't doing the things that I should be doing to like bring me joy, bring me life, make me feel the fullness of like the abundance of life that we've been given. And I don't know. I think it's easy to do that too. Like you sometimes get on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like I know what I need to do to get through this day. And we don't take the time to stop and think, what does bring me joy?
Yeah.
What is life giving to me? Or to carve out the time to do those things, you know? And I guess you could say rest too, kind of. Would you say rest instead of give you life? Things that bring you rest?
I don't know, because maybe. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's some overlap there. Because, you know. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Which that's another, I think, that could be another episode. Talking about Sabbath.
Napping.
Oh, it's my.
Just kidding.
I love napping. I took a nap today, but it was really short. I was really bummed.
Yeah.
I was like, Miles took a 3-hour nap. That's not normal.
He took a good nap.
He took a really good nap.
Yesterday, too.
Yeah.
He slept for really long.
We've been outside a lot, and like we had church this morning, so he was like, I mean, he loves church, he loves playing, and just everyone's doting over him. So
he woke up pretty early this morning too.
But he took a 3-hour nap, so I was like able to read, and I was able to catch up on a show. And I was like, I'm gonna take a nap, and I'm just gonna wake up whenever he wakes up. I woke up 20 minutes after I fell asleep, and I was like, this is the worst ever.
Yeah.
But I do love napping. But yeah. There's more to Sabbath than napping, though.
Yes, there is.
But I think we both are trying to do better at like having a Sabbath day too, specifically. So maybe that's something we could talk about in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you find that I feel like happens to me when one of those things, and maybe not all of those things, but like it can't have the same weight, but when one of those things kind of falls out of place, everything else like all the other things that bring you life kind of fall out of place.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel for me is when, like, if I'm not, you know, taking the time to read or do something like that, sometimes, like, just getting in that funk, like, it opens the door for the funk, you know?
Yeah, the funk comes in.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Just kidding. Why is the funk theme song another one bites the dust?
I don't know.
That's immediately when I started singing boom, boom. Yeah,
that's your first. When you think of funk, you think of Queen.
I guess so. It's not even like an R&B like band.
Well, no, Queen, no.
But funk is R&B. Anyway.
Well. Anyways.
Yeah. No, I do think that happens.
Yeah. It's almost like it just like it pulls down everything else. Like it's some of those things are weighted more. So like I feel like, you know, if I'm am not doing my like writing in quiet time and things like that, those kinds of things definitely feel like they drag me down more. But yeah, definitely the other things too. I feel like it's like they all kind of are tied together, I think, and when one falls out of place, they all kind of get disheveled.
That's a good point. Well, and too, I think it's helpful that we're talking about this with each other, because now if I can tell you are a little funky, I could ask you like, hey, are you journaling? Hey, are you taking time to read?
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we'll be doing a podcast every week, so I guess I can't bring that up. But I mean, but it's good to have someone who you share like those things with, to be able to say, just to hold accountable, not in like a
even it's not even to hold
way.
accountable necessarily as it is to like
uplift you and say like, you need to take the time to do this, because I can tell.
Because when you get into a funk, you can kind of get a fog, and sometimes you won't even realize what's going on, or realize that you haven't been doing those things that bring you life, and so it can be easy to just go on autopilot for however long that is, until you either wake up one day and realize, oh man, I haven't done this and this in forever, and I really want to, or if you could have somebody point it out, who can see more clearly as to, hey, you haven't done this in a while. Maybe that's why you're having a rough week or something.
Snapping at me. I'm not speaking from experience.
What? Okay.
I meant the other way around.
No, I know.
I got easily annoyed with you. And I was like, this does not feel warranted. And I remember you saying, like, what is wrong? And I was like, nothing. Because
now I know.
I knew, like, I couldn't verbalize what it was yet. Because I really didn't know.
Yeah.
But then when I took the time to reflect, I was like, I'm not doing stuff that makes me Sara or like that helps me feel alive. You know?
Yeah.
Even though it was a really good week. And sometimes I feel guilty saying that because, like, the joy of, like, being with Miles and playing with him and, you know, like, those obviously are life-giving things.
Yeah.
But I think for me specifically, like, I have to find other stuff that is outside of the title of being mom, too. Because it's really easy to, like, I don't know, just get wrapped up in that and be like, well, that's enough. That should be enough for me. But, like, I'm more than just a mom. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's healthy to tie your health, like emotional, spiritual, physical health to
into like
your
one
kid
role or
to, you know, because then if like he's having a bad day, it's not fair to him or to anyone, you know, to tie that to anyone would be doing a disservice to that person.
For sure.
And because they're going to let you down. I mean, everything, you know, no one can carry, people can, you know, we as individuals can't carry our own stuff half the time. So to try to have to
put it on someone else.
Yeah,
that's not fair.
But yeah,
that's a good point. Well, any other final thoughts or questions?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
I think we would just like encourage you guys, if you're listening and maybe you have felt that before, to take the time to figure out what is life-giving to you. Actually, I would say too, something that I started doing this year, and I've done it before in the past, but like I've done it a little more consistently, is I've been writing, not every day, but almost every day, like a list of 3 things that I'm grateful for, and has been helpful to go back and look at those lists to see like if there's themes. And there has been like themes of like laughter with you or laughter with Miles, laughter with friends, having friends over for dinner, like I'm realizing like these are the things that bring me joy. These are the things that are life-giving to me. So if you're listening to this thinking like, I don't really know for sure if I have like specific things I could say, maybe start doing that and figure out if there are themes that keep coming up in your grateful list. Because that could be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I don't think it was my own, but I'm sure I probably heard it from somebody else.
Yeah.
Not you. You just tell me you need to find hobbies.
No. Well, I mean,
I do need to find more.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't even, you know, like hobbies. Yeah. But like also just like, I think sometimes it's not even that you don't have hobbies. It's just sometimes you don't, like, I think you do have more hobbies than you realize.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't take the time to do them.
You don't call them hobbies, or you don't take the and so.
Well, because I think I said this our first episode. A lot of my hobbies are just like making our household function. Like I enjoy cooking, but I don't ever really cook for the sake of enjoying like a new recipe.
You used to more often.
Well, but now I feel like I don't
you?
have the time. Like it's like, you know, I need to cook with a baby, like a child running around.
Yeah.
And then I want to like get the kitchen cleaned up after. And the kitchen, having a clean kitchen after cooking makes me not want to cook. You know what I mean? Like, especially if I'm going to make like an elaborate recipe that's more pots and pans, that's more cutting boards, like it's just more stuff. So it doesn't feel as enjoyable in this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'll stop rambling about how I don't have good hobbies.
You do.
Thank you guys for tuning in to episode number 4. And if you wouldn't mind, we would be honored and we would love if you would rate and review our podcast wherever you're listening. Make sure you've subscribed so you get our weekly episodes when they come out. They will show up in your queue.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. You even have the option of making sure they download right away. So if you want to listen to us while you're in the car, you're not using data, which I have a habit of doing. Don't be me. Follow us on Instagram at By Grace We Live Pod. And we'd love to hear from you guys. Every week we try to post after the episode, ask questions. So make sure to look out for those posts and let us know what are some things that give you life this week.
Yeah.
Until next time. we're the Fords, and we'll see you later.
Bye.